morning. It's a beautiful day. I understand Paul was telling me this morning this was our warmest day for a while. So y'all can go out and play today outside, okay? Yeah. For today, I pulled a talk that I did in 2013, and at that time I created a poem. It's not my regular Christmas poem that I like to do, but what struck me about this talk and about this poem is that it's as relevant to today as it was 9 years ago, which in one way was like, we have a ways to go yet. But we're getting there, right? Okay, so here we go. 'Twas 2 weeks before Christmas, while getting some gas, an angry, mean fellow, he chewed out my rear end. I know, you thought I was going there, didn't you? Nope. He yelled out across the lot, "Hey, you, turn off your van. You trying to kill us?" Yes, that was my plan. He barked a few more things. I said, "Thank you, sir." He softened a little, then he took off in a whirl, and I thought to myself, some people are so rude. They're hateful and bitter and sometimes just crude. And the very next day, the news flashed again, a shooting of students. Is this God's master plan? People are hungry with no place to sleep. They're essentially dismissed, and that pain goes so deep. Factions of people have turned on each other, forgetting that each is their sister or brother. Our government divided, countries at war, economy crashing. Oh God, how much more? Does it sound familiar yet? Hatred is rampant, crime is a scare, anger is raging, there's so much despair. My heart, it was sinking, my mind, it was a whirl. I wanted to do something, but I'm only one girl. I was feeling overwhelmed, my woes piling up on top, when something within me just urged me to stop. It beckoned me softly. Just breathe now, my dear, for I am right with you, and there's nothing to fear. I kind of felt leery, this nothing to fear. Have you not heard my calling? I was perfectly clear. It's an avalanche now. All these really dark things, it cannot be stopped. Light is absent, it seems. I want to believe in the goodness of man, but dark keeps showing up. Is this your master plan? I try to be loving, I try to be kind, but it seems all my efforts are blown in due time. I know there's a God I really believe. Just show me your power and bring forth your peace. I was sitting there waiting. The TV was on, showing more of the bad stuff. What is going on? Well, the first nudge I had was to turn off the news. So I rose from my spot, and what did I view? Well, what to my wondering eyes should appear but a story of kindness that was spreading good cheer. Then right after that story came another one too. And before I knew it, I had watched 22. As I stood there just staring, warmth filling my heart, a voice whispered softly, "This is where you must start." I was quite astonished, and I turned with a jerk. You mean being the light is what really works? My attention was turned once again to the screen. More good news was shown. And I began to perceive that goodness and kindness, love, mercy, and truth, these were the gifts that would bring change here on earth. This life isn't hopeless. We're not doomed to gloom. The answer is within us, and it's ready to bloom. It's the Christ of our being, the goodness of God. It's the power we have to bring peace, hope, and love. But I said, I can't do it. I'm only just one, like a single small ray, but I'm not the whole sun. But the voice then continued, like the light that we see, individual rays of the sun join together collectively to bring the sun's power through every single ray, for each ray is the sun in its own special way. Do you now remember how your heart just grew with seeing good stories? There were just 22. Then it started to click. A light filled my mind. Oh, I see. One good story brings forth more of its kind. And it's not up to me to be the whole story. That thought is filled with ego and lots of self-glory. But when I share a kindness or speak a good word, when I inspire hope or send love to a turd, sometimes my goodness expands with more stories of its kind, and great power is harnessed to bless humankind. I was filled with such hope, possibility expanded. I could see the good news had literally landed right here in my heart, birthing forth Christmas cheer. The kingdom of heaven, it's quite literally right here. So you will hear me exclaim as I follow my cues, you are the saviors. You are the good news. Thank you. So can you believe it? It's a week before Christmas. How did this happen already? Every year I'm always shocked that it's Christmas again. But Christmas is that time that we do get to really lean into each other. We get to lean into our families and our friends around us, but we also get to lean into community and into greater things. It's a time that we are much more aware of those who have, practically nothing. And we have a deep desire to ease that pain and that suffering and that burden, don't we? We absolutely do, and Lisa's gonna share some opportunities with you with that in a little bit. It's also not a joyous time for everyone, and I think that many times the holidays just bring to the surface the reality that sometimes people's lives just aren't as they hope they would be, or they may be going through things like the loss of a loved one, the breakup of a relationship. Maybe there's been a health diagnosis, maybe there's financial things going on. There can be all kinds of things that are going on, but I really do believe that we are here to be the hope of the world. Charles Fillmore's favorite quote was, "Christ in you, the hope of glory." That was his favorite quote, because it is that reality that when we birth this Christ spirit, that is the hope of a greater and grander experience of life and a greater and grander experience of what this world can be. Yes? Absolutely. So Corey and Craig came up with an acronym for HOPE, and I forgot to bring my clicker up. Would you click? Thank you. And I love it. It's honoring our purpose everywhere. I love that. Hope is honoring our purpose everywhere. And I believe that our purpose is to develop our ability to really be that presence of hope, love, peace, and joy in our daily lives. Are there any of us who think we could do better with that in our daily lives? I think all of us, because guess what? This is a lifelong journey, my friends. Yes, it's a lifelong journey. I've said many times, we don't pop out of the toaster and are done, I'm the Christ. It's a lifelong experience, and I'm grateful for that, because that gives me the opportunity to keep on practicing. And sometimes we have to look beyond what is appearing to really move into what is that deeper, greater truth. And I'm going to tell you, the truth is that there is only one presence and one power in the universe and in our lives, and that is God, the good omnipotent. God that is omnipotent is all-powerful. Omniscient is all-knowing, all-knowledge, omnipresent, everywhere present. And 1 John tells us that God is love. Therefore, the one and only true presence and power is love. Love is the only true presence and power. And what that means for us is that the way that the world is appearing is not the final truth. It is not the final answer. Our disconnect from each other, our unrighteous judgments about each other, crime, hunger, hatred, whatever there is, these things do not have the final word, but they are only present as long as we feed them. So we talked about this recently, but I'm going to go over this again. It takes a lot of energy to keep negative energy alive. It takes so much more energy to keep negative energy alive than it does to keep positive energy alive. But I think in our culture, we're so drama-oriented. Oh my gosh, you have drama on TV, we have drama in sports, we have drama, in songs, we have drama everywhere. And it's recognizing that we want to get out of that cycle of drama, and be focusing on something else. So a lot of times in Unity, when we see things that seem to be so far removed from what we would call the light, that's what we would call evil. So if you'll go to the next one for me, thank you. He says that evil is a parasite. Its whole existence depends on the life it borrows from its parent, and when its connection with the parent is severed, nothing remains. In other words, when we quit adding to the energy of these things that are going on that we don't like, then we are severing its food source, if you will. We are then, cutting that off so it can't stay alive. And he goes on to say, and in divine mind, there's no recognition of evil conditions because these conditions have no true basis of reality. Now, they feel like it, but they don't have an actual true basis of reality. They are conjurations of a false consciousness. How many of us can admit that we have false consciousness sometimes? Apparent evil is the result of ignorance, and ignorance is not a bad word, my friends. It just simply means lack of knowledge or information, and when truth is presented, the error disappears. Then it goes on to say, thank you, evil exists in the world because man is not in spiritual understanding. Yes, I can get an amen on that, right? We are so far removed from it. Evil must be overcome with good. We must dwell in the good so wholly that all the substance of our thoughts and our being is given over to the promotion of good. This is a mental process in which all negation, evil is denied, and creative, fearless affirmations of God's perfect good is steadfastly adhered to. Wow is right. Wow. Because I know in my own little life, I can get caught up in some of the negativity that goes on in the world around me. But this is such a great reminder to be aware of what energy I am putting into these things. Am I feeding what I don't want to have in my world, or am I feeding what I do want to see and have in my world? And I love this. The Christmas story it is a great story that reminds us of our divine potentiality. It's also an ongoing, transformative, minute-by-minute choice to live from the manger of our being and to continually be in the awareness of birthing that Christ spirit of hope, peace, love, and joy, and truth. And in that, we're going to have to be willing to make some choices that are not quite what we would call the norm in our society. The choice to be kind in the midst of unkindness. The choice to be love in the midst of hate. Now, these two things are so important because I have seen it happen where when somebody's coming forward in a very big negative energy, but they aren't met with that energy, they're met with kindness and with calm, that it actually can help alleviate that energy. It can actually, and it helps people to realize, oh my gosh, how they're showing up, So it's so important for that. We must speak the truth in the midst of untruth. And we have a lot of untruth that has been happening in our culture. And we must be the ones to stand and to speak the truth in the midst of that untruth. And we must fill our world with goodness, my friends. I mean, there's so many things that we can do to fill our world with goodness. Just smile at people. Look at each other. Take a moment and look at each other and just smile. I didn't tell you guys to laugh. But look what happens. We have been so disconnected for so long. COVID, major disconnect. And then COVID helped bring about all of us being on our devices all the time. All the time. We were talking just the other night, we went out to eat, and we were talking about that, just not having a phone when you sit down to eat, and you actually have a conversation. We're so attached to our devices, and it'd be nice, not to. But the reality is that when we acknowledge somebody else, here's what I know, because I've been doing this for a while. because that's just who I am. I'm going to be one that goes out and smiles at people and says hello. And most of the time they smile back and they say hello. There's a need for us to be connected. There's a need. It's an innate need in every one of us. We need that connection. And there's so many people out there that don't feel connected in any way. And just you taking that time to just give them a smile, just look at them, nod, you take your hat off, whatever you want to do, wave, but just do something to connect with people that you don't even know. Wow. With people that you just see out and about. It just makes a difference. And I'll tell you, you have no idea the ripple effect of that. You know, somebody may have just been having a really bad day and they just get one smile or nod from you and it's just like, it can lift them. Other things is if you have the ability to make amends. If it's not going to hurt anybody, make amends. Listen to another's point of view without trying to put your point of view in there. What? But listening, and really just listening in general. And here's what I want to say too, because there's been a lot. And I'm really grateful that so much attention is being given to mental illness and to depression. There are a lot more people, especially now, that are dealing with things that we have no idea that they're dealing with. And just taking the time to check in with each other, just to say, how are you doing, really? How are you doing? If you know that somebody deals with depression or something like that, check in with them and ask them, get beyond your uncomfortable place, because you may be that person that they need that day to just acknowledge and say, how you doing? So let's make sure we're doing that. A giving of our time, talent, and treasure. And again, Lisa's going to share that opportunity with us, because we have great opportunity this week with our unsheltered guests. But then other things are just like common things. Laugh, play, say positive things, sing, create, do whatever adds to the goodness of God expanding. Every time that you get together with somebody and you just have a great time, that's that goodness of God expanding. That's that energy that is expanding. So whatever you go, sing in your house, sing in your car. I mean, I'm saying that because I do that a lot, And I've learned to not care, and Steve Kittle can probably be an attester to the fact that I sing in my car, because one day I'm singing and he pulls up beside me and it was like, oh hi, Steve. But, have fun. Just be yourself and have fun. Bring that joy to you. In other words, be about God's business. And don't be so much about the world's business. Our great master, Jesus, said, be in the world, but not of the world. Try not to get so caught up in the stuff of the world. So the beginning of that poem, it was true that there was a man that yelled at me because it was 9 years ago, I didn't turn my van off. I didn't know I needed to turn my van off. And he really yelled at me. And I was so shocked by that. But I did react in a calm and a gentle way, and although it didn't totally calm him down, it did make him stop and think, and he did respond in a calmer way. But it gave me pause for thought, and what I realized is that my nature is non-confrontational. My nature is peace, and I used to believe that was a weakness. I used to believe that when somebody was angry and somebody else met them with anger and it was like they stood up in that way, I used to think that was strength. But what I have been learning since then is that being a peacemaker is a really important role that all of us can have in our lives. And I believe that, again, that's part of our purpose. One ray, a sun, cannot bring all of the heat and the energy and everything that we need of the sun to us, but many together can create some pretty amazing things here on this planet, right? We are God's rays of light. Every single one of us, we are the rays. And you may not feel like what you do matters, but it matters. Because collectively, as we come to, as I think about it, as just looking in this room, or those of us who are listening online, I guess I'm not listening online, I can't say those of us, those of you who are listening online, but if every single one of us went out and made it a point this week to really really, really just express that love in whatever way that we can. Just really, connect with people. Do whatever you can to bring that energy. It will make a positive difference. And you know what? It's none of our business how. That's not our business. Our business is to be the expression of that light. How many of you have seen the movie Scrooged with Bill Murray? It's one of my favorite Christmas movies. I have many favorites, but it's hilarious. That movie cracks me up. So Bill Murray is Scrooge, and of course, he's visited by Christmas past, Christmas present, Christmas future. And so at the end of it, he's a TV producer, and he takes over the television, and he just starts telling everybody about how love is what it's about. Love is the answer. And then he goes into this song, and Bella, if you'll go to the next screen. Thank you. So I'm going to invite us just to sing this together because I know that you all are going to know this song. Start me on a note. Of your fellow man, lend him a helping hand. Put a little love in your heart. You see it's getting late, so please don't hesitate. Put a little love in your heart. Here we go. And the world will be a better place. And the world will be a better place for you and me. You just wait and see. And here, let's end it. Put a little love in your heart. Put a little love in your heart. Put a little love in your heart. Oh, yeah. Put a little love in your heart. Oh, you guys are ready to go on tour. Isn't that a great song? It's a great song. So I'm going to finish my poem. So the story of Christmas has always been dear, but my relationship to it has changed year to year. I now know the truth, the much deeper meaning that love is the answer. At least that's what I'm gleaming. The story of Christmas, it's all about me. It's about every one of us, and that me makes a we. So together let's shine our lights brilliantly and show all the world there's something to see beyond hatred and pain, beyond crime and that stuff and that power. That something we see is the power of love. So go out this week, shine your big, bright, brilliant beam of radiant love to everyone that you see, and let's make a difference. Let's every one of us be the Christmas story. And so it is. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. All right. As our